And so it's good to be here. Thanks to Shubham for inviting me.
Um, I'm Nivedita. Like Shubham said, I graduated from IIIT in 2013. I studied computer engineering. And after that, I came for my master's here at Georgia Tech in
Shubham for
Atlanta.
inviting me.
And right out of my grad school, I started working for Oracle. I worked there for about 2 years. And then I moved to Facebook. And I've been working at Facebook for a little over 2 years now. Um, I've been a software engineer all along. Um, and I think that was it. Let's do this.
Mhm.
Yeah,
All right.
sure.
Um, Thank you for the time, first of all. And then, sorry, I missed to start the stream first few minutes, so I will just tell that again. So yeah, this webinar, usually we work with the IIITDM alumni cell, and we try to interact with hosts all over the world or people who are doing something amazing, and we can learn about through them. Usually, our target is to help people who are in their earlier career to help them with issues and ideas and action, what they can learn and they can move forward. Regarding today's topic, women in tech and business, the core, I was having a discussion with my friend the other day, and she pointed me some issues what about from the book she has been reading, and then I realized that yeah, even my behavior hasn't been, you know, the way I think that I'm very balanced, but it was not like that. When I tried to rethink that the way I was behaving with my, female boss compared to my male boss, I realized that indeed there was a difference. And I think those kind of situation exist everywhere, the way we interact. So we thought, why not just discuss these things, how situation is there in workplace and what can we learn and move forward. Unfortunately, our third guest, she's not able to join at the moment. She may join later. But yeah, we will move forward now with our questions. So, my first question to maybe Nivedita would be, while can you tell about where did you grow up and how was growing up as a girl among your, if you have siblings, and if you want to share some unique experiences?
Sure. I grew up in Chennai. I went to school and college in Chennai all along. And my schooling was all in girls' schools. So my first co-educational experience was in college. I have a younger brother. He is 8 years younger than me. So I didn't. I wouldn't say there was anything I feel like I missed because I was a girl.
Hmm.
I felt like my parents did a good job of making sure that my brother and I had the same opportunities. Um, I think that was it. Yeah.
All right. Trishna, would you like to share about yourself?
So I'm an only child. I grew up in Vadodara, and so then I moved to Chennai for college. So I didn't really face any differences being a girl, at least in school. I think the first time I faced any sexism of sorts was in the 11th grade. So my physics prof, he called all of us girls, and he's like, "You should really prepare well for the JEE and all these exams and all, because this is the last competition you're going to have in your lives. In like when you go to start working, you are always going to have a benefit because you are women. So this is the last competition. Prepare really well." So I went totally like, what is this shit, man? Like I didn't, and plus he was a really good teacher, so I did not expect this from him. And then engineering college, obviously that sex ratio was very skewed, but it wasn't that did not nothing really negative about being a girl.
That's great. That's good to hear. So usually a lot of families, like, especially in our country where they're developing, they have to choose between the resource, like will they send their boy or the girl? And that is like that's what I was coming at. Like it did happen to anyone. So it's good to know that we didn't have. And I think the situation is probably improving where people are more aware with this, and they they try to, they know that both have should have the fair chance and equal chance. Um, So usually, like we all three are engineers by trade, and usually, in engineering they consider like the male-dominated field or something like that. Uh, Did anyone like, or at any point of time, did someone question your competence in technical aspects just because you were a girl or you're women? Maybe Navita
Nivedita,
can answer.
Uh, I don't remember like specific instances,
Hmm.
but I'm sure that there've been like cases of casual sexism, right? Like, I think it was more pronounced when I was in college.
Hmm.
Uh, it I wouldn't say it was from like professors or anything, but at least from uh, uh, students, like your classmates, right? There have been
Hmm.
instances where people tell you things like, you're favored because there are very few of you in the class. Maybe the professors give you better grades because there are few of you and they want to encourage you, things like that. I've heard those things, but I don't remember like specific instances that made a mark on me and discouraged me or anything.
Hmm.
uh, uh, Fortunately, I think I took it I didn't take it too seriously, so it didn't affect me adversely.
Was it the similar experience for you, Trishna?
So I worked in a plant, and I was actually the first woman Wipro that had chosen for that role. So like,
Wow.
sure, my bosses and like the management and all was pretty supportive, but then you have to work with operators, workers, and all. So they are not going to. So then initially, obviously, their tendency will be to assume that you don't know that much, or you're not here to actually work in a plant. Whether it was projects, I was part of the production team also for a while. So even now, when I work in consulting, so like say, even if my colleagues, my boss, all of them are fine, like a lot of clients will still assume, like, so if there's a guy on the team, they will still go to him first. They'll assume that I'm so since I'm a female, I probably be on the lower role or less knowledge or something along those lines. So it's a bunch of times that happened. There obviously been clients who have like obviously been very good, collaborative, etc. But still, there are definitely been instances. And like she mentioned, casual sexism. Yeah, we just tend to like ignore that or try to or not even register that at times nowadays.
Okay. So what would you suggest to change that?
But
I think one thing we could do is like when somebody says something that is not clear, like you should always ask them what they mean by it. Say somebody says something like say for example, there's a new engineer on my team who, this is a hypothetical example, it's not real, but say
Yeah.
they're a new mom and like they just had a baby and they came back from leave, and somebody is suggesting that they should be taking a lesser workload because they have a family at home to take care of. You could ask them what they mean by that, just clarify what they're trying to say. Maybe they're trying to say something with good intention, just that they didn't phrase it very well,
Hmm.
or they're really having sexist opinions, right? So you could clarify and find out what they mean, and then tell them that it could be perceived negatively, and most people are open to feedback. So I think we should just try to discuss that first. Mention that women or uh, a minority might feel differently about what you just said. Just clarify what they meant. I think that's a good first step.
Would you like anything to add, Trishna?
so I think you can have like you Shubham, you mentioned that you had this sort of unconscious bias.
Yeah.
So I mean there are actually trainings nowadays. So like companies can have trainings for this unconscious bias to sort of help people recognize that they have this and what they can do to change that. So I think some sort of company involvement would also be good. Apart from what she suggested at a personal level, we need the organizations also to take some responsibility.
Okay, so I can say that first thing is, if anyone says anything which might be having like inner nuances, probably we should not hide it and we should point that out. Is that correct, right? And then probably we should involve company to help people like discover if they have some hidden biases which may or may not be aware, or and help them correct it. Okay. All right. Usually, like studying abroad, like we all have to go through certain challenges. Was it any unique difference for you or different for you, Niveta, compared to like than just because you're women? Did it make any more difficult or challenging?
I don't know if it was because I was a woman, but for me, the most challenging part was that I've been at home all along. For schooling, I was in Chennai, and for college as well, I was in Chennai. Though I was at hostel, I used to go back home very often.
Mm-hmm.
And when I came for my master's in the US, I was all on my own. I had to take care of stuff at home, like feed myself, as well as like take care of financial matters and find a part-time job and do my, in addition to all the coursework that I was doing at grad school, right? So I think that part was challenging, but I don't think
Yeah.
that is because I was a woman. Uh, I think we should uh, all parents should encourage their children to be more independent. It's not very common in India. I've seen that
Yeah.
kids in the US they take up part-time jobs when they're in college or even high school. They do things like helping around in the neighborhood. They learn to manage money, things like that. That's very important. I don't think I answered your question, but it doesn't apply just to women or girl children. But I think all kids should develop those uh,
I think
things. Yeah.
probably one of the hidden nuance for this question is a lot of time parents are okay to sending their sons abroad for studying, but they hesitate if they have to send their daughters to, go abroad and study or things like that. So those kind of situation probably might be problem. So how would you suggest people who are in those situations to deal with that? Girls who are in that situation.
Um, I personally didn't face that, so I'm not sure. But I think it'll be good to like uh, speak to seniors who have been here. Uh, Maybe they could have their parents talk to them and show that,
Hmm.
give them good examples, encouraging examples that people have made it out there. It's not unsafe, or like there's a community to support them even if they come here. Say when you're in grad school, uh, one of the I think concerns from parents is that their children are all alone in a new environment. They can maybe the students can show that they have a support group here, either the seniors from their own college or like school or their friends who have come for masters earlier,
Hmm.
and there is a support network for them, so it shouldn't be a big concern. I think the other concern is that timelines, right? Women typically tend to get married earlier than men, and that's another concern. So if somebody wants to work for a couple of years and then come for masters, uh, they're already in the marriageable age. So parents want to get their girls married before doing before coming for masters or things like that. So we need a change in mindset. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I think
I
it's a
don't
very
have a very
complicated
good
problem, right?
solution for that.
Trishna, would you want to say something about that?
Yeah, I agree with what she said. Plus, I haven't studied abroad, so I don't really have an opinion on this.
No, but in general, like if okay, even if parents like they don't want you to do something just because you are a girl, how would you deal with that situation?
Yeah, that hasn't really happened. I'm an only
Okay.
child, so yeah, yeah, I mean, there are, I guess, people have fears also, like, will girls be able to take care of themselves and stuff like that, safety and all those issues also. But
Mhm.
not sure. But as she said, mindset, society, all of that needs to change. Not sure at an individual level we can do much about that.
Okay. So probably the next question to Trishna would be, what is the gender ratio in your workplace or the team you're working for? And does it make a difference if the ratio, like if flipped, say more women and less men, or less women and more men, does it make a difference for you?
Think there's like 10 plus, this is supply chain. So supply chain is again very heavily skewed towards men. So we have like 10, around 10% women, I think.
Hmm.
So, I mean, it would definitely make a difference in there being more women, in the fact that we'd actually have a lot more role models to look up to. So, like, if you a lot of women, so when they're starting out their like, so men, when you start out your career, so you see that this guy has taken this career progression. But women, so sure, we can look at their career progression, but we also want women role models. So we don't have that kind of diversity. So and like, especially in the higher senior leadership, it's very less. So we have a lot of women studying now. College, I think most of colleges actually have 50-50 ratio. So, and women are joining entry level jobs. But beyond that, it's a lot more difficult.
Okay.
So I think this McKinsey study found that the first step from entry level to the manager, that first promotion was the broken step in the ladder. So people talk about glass ceiling. They said that first fix that in the US alone that will lead to like 1 million women joining the workforce. So that is the first part that needs to be fixed from the entry level to the manager, rather than just talking about the glass ceiling.
So you mean to say one, there is some problem with the promotion policy itself that women are not able to go to the top.
Yeah,
Okay.
promotion policy, as in a lot of people
The
say keep
biases.
a woman. certain level. So
Mm-hmm.
uske baad, after that, there is no promotion.
Okay.
So they say, ki, like, so she's reached, say, the level of a director. So then she finds it very difficult to go higher than that or something. So they're saying there's a glass ceiling that women can't break through. So what the McKinsey study found was that the first level, the first step itself is broken. So we have 100 women joining. So it's, or say 100 men are promoted. So out of that, only 72 women were being promoted. Like, so that ratio was there. So we have a gap there itself. So if we fix that gap, that
Mm-hmm.
break in the ladder, that itself can lead to a lot of changes.
Okay. So our takeaway is first we need to fix the let women move. Like if we see as a funnel, we need to have more women move towards the career. Then we would probably see more CEO, more board level women in the field. That's a good thing. Also, I found that while I was doing some research, uh, Corona is somehow good in a way for women because there was a comparison between job application between last year and this year, and since it's work from home, there was a 30% more application from women candidates for a lot of roles because everybody has to work from
Oh,
home, and so now women are like more enthusiastic to work it. There were 30% more application, which was like shocking in the same period compared to last year and this year. So I was like, yeah, this is a good thing, at least some positive side of this all what's going on.
yeah,
Uh,
wow, I didn't know that.
Okay, Nivetha, probably you can also tell about the same question that how is the gender ratio in your team and does it make a difference for you if we change that ratio or would you want to change in certain way?
Sure. Yeah, I think in tech also the gender ratio is quite skewed. Across the company I work for right now, I think in technical roles, women are about 25%.
Hmm.
In my team, I've been lucky. I mean, our team has more women than men. My immediate team, it's a small team, but we are about like 8 people now, but we have like I think 5 women,
Hmm.
if I'm right.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Okay.
it's a very unique situation. It's not very common across the company,
Hmm.
but I think it's great. Like she said, it's good to have role models. It's good to have people that you can relate to in your personal life. They might have women have unique problems that men don't face. It's also good to have like a social group in your um, workplace. Not to say that you won't have common hobbies or things to talk about with other men, but it's still like otherwise it's if I'm the only woman in a social gathering, I might feel out of place. There are a lot of like I don't watch any sports or anything, so
Hmm.
not to say that women are not interested in sports in general, but I try to find things that that are common between them. That's how I uh, like make friends or like ask to get to a point where I'm comfortable with asking them for advice or anything. So I like to find common things between other people, and it's good to have other women in the room where I can share problems, and I feel like they can empathize more because they're in a similar situation.
Hmm.
Um, what was your other question? I don't remember.
Uh,
Was it about getting the gender ratio better?
yeah, yeah.
I think one of the problems is the funnel itself. Like she said, a lot of women, at least in the US, girl children, they're not encouraged to take up STEM education. STEM is science, technology, and medicine. I don't know what the E stands for,
Engineering and
but
mathematics.
I no, I think it's.
Okay, maybe, yeah,
I'm not
medicine.
sure.
It's
Okay.
So,
engineering.
sorry.
I think it's engineering only.
Okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so that is a problem. Women are told that girl children are told that math might not be their strongest point. Boys are more likely to excel in math and things like that. So I think it should start from schools itself, and at every stage, uh, women tend to be less self promotional. They're not comfortable about talking about their achievements or seeking out to opportunities. They Men are more likely to seek out to an opportunity if if there's a job opening and women don't qualify for one among the four requirements that is posted on the job posting, they're less likely to apply than a man. So
Wow.
things like that, right? So we have to acknowledge that there are differences, and uh, it's not just that women need to work on it. There should be allies from the company or their uh, professional circle that need to also help. Like your male coworkers should also help, right? The women alone cannot improve the situation. So we need allies all around. Uh, yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's,
So
that's what I covered. Yeah.
does Facebook has any like women-centric policy to improve women involvement in tech, or at least improve in hiring part?
Yeah, they definitely do a lot of like hiring. They try to go to colleges where there are more diverse candidates. We there are there's a conference called Grace Hopper for women in engineering. If I'm
Hmm.
not wrong, computer science. I think
Computer science.
they try to go for hiring in such special events which are meant just for women. That they do a lot of they have a lot of initiatives to improve diversity among engineers and other roles, not just women. So they want to make sure that there's diversity in races, ethnicity, and things like that, and economic and social background. So
Can you
they
share
have.
some example of some events which you like maybe part of or attended?
Sure, I represented Facebook at Grace Hopper. So we had our own stalls for hiring, and Grace Hopper is an event meant for it is targeted at women. Anybody, it's open for everybody, but it's not that men are not allowed, but most attendees are women, and it's the discussions and the workshops are targeted towards a women audience. Uh, so a lot of companies, tech companies in the US, and I think there is a similar um, event in India as well. So I think it happens in all parts of the world. They hire for internships and uh, full-time positions in these events. They conduct interviews and shortlist candidates and do everything. So you're more likely to get uh, more women candidates come to these events than apply for a job on your I think your company website or whatever. So I think all companies should encourage and fund such events and go to them and make an effort.
Okay, so my takeaway would be like if you are in some company, the company, like at least as from the company perspective, we should reach out to these events and organization, and also probably we should but this decision come from the manager level, and that's what I see, that if we don't have women as a manager, probably they may not pay more attention. So I mean, Facebook is of course one of the most visible companies, but I think we have a problem with like the like companies which are maybe not the companies, the top ones, but there we need to do something. How is the situation for Meba Consulting, Trishna?
So we don't really have any events specifically targeting women as such. So like it's just no like so it's so when I talked to my director about this, he essentially said we like it's meritocratic. So like decision making is based on that. We don't hire much anyways because ours is a very small niche consulting firm. It's just supply
Hmm.
chain. So we don't have much of the staff anyway. So yeah, we don't have any events targeted towards women.
Okay. So either, I mean, they believe the hiring policy is very fair enough that anybody who is talented, they would be able to come in, and
Yeah,
we
yeah,
don't need a
yeah.
separate policy. All right. I think even that is a good approach, but then I think some of the places you do need to like at least first they should apply for that. You know, when you hear that okay, supply chain or consultant or things like that, many people may hold back, right? Or does that
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
happen?
that's true. So consulting involves a lot of traveling. Plus, supply chain is again like so there's all parts logistics, manufacturing,
Hmm.
so stuff like that. So you have to interact with a lot of people who like most people would not interact with on a regular basis. So that also acts as a constraint sorts. So like safety and all that. So that those issues they also come up. But
So
I mean, not that the company doesn't ensure you that you're not safe, but still people still have that barrier mentally.
okay. So, what would you suggest to women or people, I mean, young girl who want to take up roles which are like no traditionally not taken by women, like say in your supply chain consultant or things which involve, say a lot of traveling. So, people who are fearful of that, what would you say to them?
So fearful meaning what? Just safety wise or otherwise?
I mean, they are like it could be safety wise, or it could be okay. So there are like l- they may have a lot of worries. I mean, I'm still at loss, like what could be the worry, but I have heard from many people that safety is one issue. Sometimes parents are like, okay, this is not suitable role, or there is some kind of, this is a men-centric role. Like there will be a lot of, men, they are fearful that how will they do it. Like sometimes it's like, okay, everyone will be around you will be men. They may not understand you, or they may also be worried about their career progression. They may think that, okay, I might not make that much progress compared to a place which is more diverse and other. So what would you say to them, or how can they be part of that?
So they will have to so they will have to get over some of the barriers themselves first. Like, so safety is like, uh, the company. Like, I work for Wipro, I work for this. So then the company takes all measures to ensure that you're safe. So then you'll have to talk to a lot of people. So that is one skill that you like. So that is also a huge advantage of supply chain. So the kind of people skills you develop. So that is something you don't get anywhere else. So otherwise you're just stuck in your bubbles. You're siloed. So you don't really interact with a lot of people. So but the kind of people skills you develop, and plus the kind of benefits that you get. So supply chain helps you develop a lot of skills that you don't get in most other places. So safety wise, there's not really an issue. Like, the companies ensure that women are safe.
Hmm.
Career progression, most companies try to ensure that women get an equal or sometimes even better. So I interned in PNG.
Hmm.
So they have essentially they try to promote women faster, because even they have a female vacuum at the top. So like vacuum and female leadership. So especially in same fields that especially supply chain, so where there are less women, so a lot of companies try to promote women or like help them in whatever way they can. So
Okay.
the skewed gender ratio also means that you get some benefits, I guess.
Okay. So our takeaway would be like, first of all, people should not hold back because just because not many women are doing that. I think at least not in today's time. It's totally like
Anybody
a
wants to
wrong
talk to
to
me
think
about
from
supply
that.
chain? Yeah. If anybody wants to talk to me about supply chain, they're free to reach out to me. I'll help in whatever way I can.
Sure,
So in
sure,
general, supply chain. So yeah.
sure. Good to know. So yeah, so to summarize the point, I would say that people should not hold back, and uh, it might work in their favor if they go in a field where they are the only
Yeah,
women.
those are the
So.
skills. And so, like, basically, what you were saying is skills, people skills, analytical skills,
Mhm.
problem solving, that kind of stuff. That is very transferable also. That is required in essentially any job. So you can move from here to there essentially.
Okay. It So now I had a question to ask, like, were you a person who were the only women in a meeting or in a room where discussion was going on, and how did it make you feel? But I think that would be probably not correct for Nivedita. She had four of
I've
her
been in
team.
meetings where I was the only woman.
Okay. All right.
No
So
worries, go ahead.
so probably, yeah, you can start. Like, if you were there in such a meeting, how did it make you feel, and did you feel comfortable to voice your opinion or whatever you wanted to say?
Yeah, I think in most cases I've been comfortable. I Thanks to the people who were in the meeting around with me, I've never felt like I was sidelined because I was a woman or not given an opportunity to speak. I think what's important is that the rest people in a room, they should acknowledge that if somebody is feeling if they notice that somebody didn't get an opportunity to speak because they might be shy or they didn't like I've noticed that certain people don't let their others finish their even their what they're trying to say. They cut them off and things like that. So as an ally to somebody who is shy, you could say, hey, I noticed that person A didn't get a chance to speak, maybe they had to say something, things like that. So if you're one of the uh, senior people in the room, you could make sure that everybody in the room gets an opportunity to speak and their concerns are voiced. So I think that's important, and this is one way that all men and other allies can help uh, give opportunities to women in the room.
Okay. Trishna, what would you like to say about that?
Yeah, I completely agree with her. So yeah, there have been a lot of instances where I've been the only woman in the room, and especially when I was starting out, I so essentially I would be the one who wouldn't let me speak. Like, so I would think, I don't know that as much as these people. My point is probably not valid. Nobody cares what I think, stuff like that. So a lot of times in these situations, you are the one putting yourself down. So instead, so what I started out with was like, I would try to say just, I would be like, I'll say just one thing per meeting. So that one thing, and then I'll be like, oh, thank God, that is over. But so then, so you need to be able to see, the allies part is completely correct. But at one point, we need to start being able to speak up on our own. So then we should not denigrate ourselves. We should not put ourselves down in that way that we don't like. And most of the points have been completely valid. So most of the negative self talk is usually wrong, and like baseless. So we need allies, and we also need to be able to speak up ourselves with them.
Okay. So, my takeaway would be like first you should try to speak up yourself, and uh, should any habit like you said about that at least one point. What was that? Can you elaborate on that? I didn't clearly understand.
No, so basically, I instead of saying nothing in a meeting, I would be like, I'll say just one thing in the meeting, and that is
Okay.
after that, I don't have to speak at all. That's just
Okay.
consoling myself.
Okay. So
So,
in so I think probably that can be a baby step to build. Like you say at least one thing you
yeah.
have that this you say, and maybe you can scale it up all the like as it progresses, and then you are
Yeah.
more accustomed to speak up.
And
Okay.
plus, you also get that positive feedback. Like people acknowledge your point, people say that, hi, it's a good point, stuff like that. So that also helps increase your confidence.
Okay. Yeah. I think one general suggestion for those meetings would be, I mean, I have been some meetings, but I have like with like women who were there. I think in general, if anybody goes a bit prepared, it kind of gives you confidence to talk. So I think one general suggestion to anyone would be to go prepared, write your point, what you want to talk about. Then I think you will be confident, and then it will help you to not stay quiet and just get over the meeting.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's good advice. Yeah.
So I had the question. Okay, so I mean, the other part of question was, does that make you uncomfortable if you're only person in the meeting? In those kind of situation, may not be the meeting, or say, if it were a social gathering and they're like off a company and where you're the only, that shouldn't really happen. But if it's a situation where you're the only women, how do you suggest to deal with it to people? Maybe Nivedita can tell about that.
Uh, and I first of all, I hope that is you don't end up in a situation where you're uncomfortable in a room full of your colleagues.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I don't think that personally I would not be uncomfortable just because everybody in the room they're all men.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that all men are they it makes me uncomfortable or anything, but
Okay.
uh, I would say try to find things that are common, like hobbies or things that you could make it easier to relate with them. I know a lot of my colleagues, they're interested in similar things. I like gardening, for example, things like that. So I have I have things that are outside of work that I can talk with them about. So it helps me connect on a personal level.
Mm-hmm.
That's been very helpful. They also understand that uh, we are not some scary thing that they have to be worried about talking to, and women are also normal people. They also have hobbies and things like that, right? So you can find things that are common interests outside of work. I think that's a good place to start.
Okay.
Helps build relationships with your colleagues.
Trishna, would you like to add some networking skills for women who would want to, go and socialize more?
Yeah, that's a very good tip. Like find something common. So, and also, I mean, like a lot of people hesitate in reaching out. So the first step. So like, even saying hi or hello or starting a discussion. So then maybe before you go to such a thing, like just come up with like some one or two lines that you would say like, hi, I'm Trishna and something, something. So like if you, like you said, this is also like essentially preparing for networking. So something like that, so that gets you off the ground, and after that, like you find something common and then talk about it, and then the conversation proceeds from there. So yeah.
Okay. So usually that first step is like, for most people very difficult. I think even personally for me too, if you go any place, we would be talking, like seeing each other. We know we should go and talk, and we are just not able to do it. But if you have any tips for that, like overcoming the first fear. So I think one takeaway I take from your thought would be to like prepare at least something, have a starting in mind that okay, this you can say, like this can be a fallback, like anywhere you go and meet people. Uh, is there anything you guys would want to add to that to overcome that first initial fear to go and talk to people?
Nivedita, would you like to say something?
I think it's a hard skill to master. I wouldn't claim to be an expert. I suffer from the same problems. So I don't know. I think we touched upon whatever I could
Okay.
think of.
Okay, so probably we should prepare something before and have
Yeah, you
some
can.
common ground.
Yeah. Also, you can actually. I mean, so I used to be a very shy person, so college helped with that.
Hmm.
Still somewhat like awkward, but so I think one thing that would also help is like have some like some stories or something that you can tell. because
Okay.
like sharing something personal, that helps people open up to you.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
having prepared something before, like, yeah, it's a lot of preparation. So initially it'll take some preparation, some effort, but
Mhm.
after one point it'll start coming naturally.
Okay.
So
Okay.
otherwise, just be like, I will go and say hi and introduce myself to these number of people.
Okay.
So just start off with that by baby steps, have a plan or something.
Okay. I
Because I
think,
mean, this is a skill that can definitely be acquired.
yeah. Okay. So I think that can be a good starting point to at least go say hi to people. I think once it becomes a habit, I think we can do it. All right. So, okay. So that brings me to my next question. Who maybe, Trishna, you can start. Who is your role model, or who is your, lady figure you look up to, and what do you like about her?
Let me 1 second. So any woman in, like, a lot of women in business. So like India, we have a lot of role models. Like say Devjani Ghosh. So she's
Hmm.
the chairman of NASCOM.
Hmm.
Uh, the
So,
US.
what do you like about her? Like, any particular thing which stood out for you?
Also, lot, like, essentially, if you have risen to that level, especially from she, like, so she's risen through the past era. So anyone who has reached that level through the past era, that has definitely taken a lot of tenacity, perseverance. Uh, like, and just a second, I'll think about it more. Devedita can answer in the meantime.
Sure. For me, I think my role models, I personally have a need to relate with person that can inspire me. So my role models have been from my family, uh, my mom and my aunts and my grandparents. They've all been career focused. So that's really, I mean, I wouldn't say just career focused. They also made sure that they have a balance between personal lives and career. Um, so I think that's been really inspiring. My grandmothers, both of them, they're educated and they had jobs and they also have found time to support the family. They make sure to get help from their partners and have a balance. It's not just that they do all the housework,
Mhm.
things like that. So um, yeah, and they've always been encouraging. So I think they're my role models.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Um, Maybe back to Trishna now.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think. Like, so like I read this book called 30 Women in Power. So it's about 30 very successful businessmen and business women in India. That has a lot of very inspiring examples. It's written by Naina Kidwai. So
Mhm.
she's like I think the executive chairperson in HSBC or something right now.
Mhm.
So that book has a lot of Aruna Jayanti has a lot of role models.
Okay.
So everybody should check that out. So they have a lot of lessons and all also. And in the end, I'd like to talk about a few books people can read if possible.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, probably you can share me and I can just add to the,
Yeah,
webinars
sure.
list people can go through. Personally, for me, I think the women role model whom I really admire is Indra Nooyi. I read about her, like her biography and the time frame in which she went to US, did her study, and at a time when already like all these issue of color and uh, things were going on, to attend a meeting like she didn't had money to buy new clothes, so go in a sari to have that courage, because I think I myself have, if I have placed a lot of pressure on myself at times to if you're not according to the norm, so thinking in a totally different era and to do that, and to actually, I mean, you talked about the breaking the ceiling. I think I really admire her for that. And yeah, we indeed. I mean, that was one of the reason I had read certainly some days back, and this talk came in my head. We should talk about that. Um, so I had a general question. What measures do you think your companies can take now to attract even more women in your respective fields?
A lot of things I've seen that workplaces here are already doing. Some of it is offering like flexible hours
Hmm.
because women, in a lot of cases, they are the primary caretakers for for somebody at home, their children, or like other dependents. That's one thing I think that would encourage more women to apply. The other thing is that not having like strict requirements for example, say an engineer role
Hmm.
need not have somebody who's working as a software engineer need not necessarily have a degree in software engineering, right? A lot of women might not be able to meet the specific requirements, but they might still be able to do a good job at work. So they could offer things like short-term internships or not short-term, like 3 to 6 month internships or something like that, where they can try out uh, the job. They might be from a non-traditional background. They might not have a degree in say computer science. They could still try out something like that, and then uh, it's an opportunity both for the woman to try out this new career as well as for the company to evaluate them and offer a full-time opportunity after that. So I think there should be a separate hiring funnel for people from non-traditional backgrounds. Not everybody completes a degree. I don't think that's very common in India, but I see a lot of people here who drop out of college for personal reasons. So I think that's a good place to start.
So before I go to Trishna, I had one question related to hiring that um, I think were you a part of hiring team before? I mean, you mentioned regarding the Grace Hopper.
Yeah, so I've done a couple of interviews. I've also at Grace Hopper, we spoke to potential candidates and
Mhm.
talk about the roles and opportunities that we have at the companies as part of the booth at the career fair.
So I had a question that during hiring, do the members go through some standard training to, not have these gender biases? Uh,
Yes, yeah, there's a lot of I think by law you're supposed to undergo some training
mhm,
by local administration as well as companies have their own material to uh, be conscious of the bias. So there can be nobody without a bias, right? That's how human beings are made. So it's
true.
important to understand your biases. That's more important,
Hmm.
and make sure that it doesn't affect you in making a fair decision regarding hiring. So I'm sure I have biases. It's important for me to recognize them and make sure they don't affect my hiring decisions. I think companies are doing a good job of that. There is extensive training to give you examples. In certain cases, it can be really subtle. You will not notice it unless you're presented with data to support it. So I think they're already doing that. We can always do more of it.
Okay. Then yeah, we can go. Trishna, can you elaborate on the earlier question where what more measures companies should take, especially in business, to, have more balanced role or to invite more women to be part of the workforce?
Yeah, Nivedita had some fantastic ideas. So apart from that, one thing I think what would help is having a sort of mentor. So like like it can be a female or a male mentor, but somebody who's essentially in your corner, somebody who's fighting for you, pushing for you, giving you guidance. Because like if you don't have a lot of females in senior leadership roles, we might not like some at least some women or a lot of them would be hesitant to go up to senior people and ask for advice or career guidance and all. And even like and it's been noticed that people who have a mentor or somebody who's batting for them are usually like rise up the corporate ladder faster or tend to find things easier. So having a dedicated mentor, so somebody who's work essentially that's part of their work
Hmm.
to guide you or help give you some advice or help you in whatever way possible. So having a mentor system or a buddy system, something along those lines, that will also help a lot.
Okay. Would you want to comment something on the, hiring side, like how to at least invite more women to, maybe apply for the role or things like that? Because yeah, this goes all the way to, bring at least first step. What would you suggest, say, for your company if they want to invite more women? What should be the change in policy or what action they can take on their part?
So like we would have to deal with a lot of societal stereotypes that this supply chain is not for women, and also maybe have like so we have these pre-placement talks in college, so
Hmm.
maybe like we can have a session where we do that, this is why this is a good thing for women also, or have a like essentially we need to like there needs to be a lot more awareness, I guess,
Hmm.
that this is okay. Like so Nivedita said that STEM roles in the US, like the girls tend to not go for that. So in here, I think like supply chain is also one of those fields where girls tend to not go. So then we need to encourage them from the very start. So say from freshman year in college, we can like or something along those lines. Essentially like awareness and like sort of sensitization, I guess.
Okay. So that could be the spreading more awareness so that people just don't hold back because yeah, they are of some gender, so they should not go. That would be the
Correct.
key. Okay. So yeah, probably then we can move on to our question that what tips would you suggest to, young girls who are just about to start their career? So say they are graduating this year, what would you say them? Maybe Nivedita or Trishna, anyone can answer. Any tips which can help them to, move faster, or any mistakes people usually make, like say not talking. I mean, that is general what I can think of, but I mean that is a general
Sure.
stereotype, right? So yeah, those kind of thing. What would you suggest to people who are just about to start their career?
I think one thing I probably already mentioned all of these, but I can repeat. So, women are hesitant about talking about their achievements and their skills, right? So I think
Mhm.
that that's something that we should overcome. There is data to support that women are more hesitant to know that. So I think we should be conscious of that and make sure that we're uh, raising up our hands for opportunities. Everything might not knock on your door. We have to reach out to them. Even if you don't meet all 10 out of 10 criteria that's listed on a job posting, maybe you should apply for it.
Mhm.
Not They might, a lot of the job postings, if you see, they can be quite unrealistic. There might be nobody who meets all the 10 of them.
Mhm.
So uh, things like that. So I think you should reach out to opportunities. And the other thing is, whatever place you are at right now, so you might be just graduating out of college, but there's always other people younger people or less experienced folks who will gain from your experiences. So make sure that you share whatever you've learned all along. I'm sure that everybody has valuable things to say for people in their community. And the other thing is, you can never uh, grow alone. So make sure you build a support network, and not just mentoring uh, your juniors or people younger than you, even among the community. Make sure that you have a back for each other and support. And you could, I think it helps everybody grow in how do I say it?
Organic.
Yeah, not organic. It's more like, if you're no, I know that so work environments can be very competitive, but
Mhm.
you could grow with each other. It's not that you have to fight somebody else for a position. Yeah, I think that was all I had.
Um, I mean, the same
Uh,
question goes for Trishna.
So I actually made a bunch of notes because I think I made a bunch of mistakes. So I want to try to make sure others don't.
Hmm.
So one thing is,
Great.
nobody knows everything. Like she said that women are more hesitant in asking for stuff. So even in asking for questions, like if some asking questions, or like nobody knows everything. I remember there was this project of mine in Wipro. So I was working with this assistant manager who was fantastic, very knowledgeable, everything. So I was working with him, and I felt like I didn't know anything. So I would tend to get irritated, and so then like the juniors would come to ask me questions. I would tend to get irritated because I didn't know stuff. But then somebody, like once I asked a question to this assistant manager, so even he called up somebody and asked that person. So the thing is, nobody knows everything, and like no questions are dumb. At least in the first 6 months to 1 year of your career, make sure you ask as many questions as possible. Even later, but like after that point, you're supposed to have gained some knowledge. So just got it then. Then most people tend to associate certain women with certain roles. Or so I was in the plant, people would assume I was in the quality team because most of the women were either in quality or HR. Or so a lot of people have stereotypes, but make sure you don't have those mentally, and you don't have that, and don't give in to people's stereotypes. Like essentially, if you don't have to fit anybody's image of what you are, you have the right to decide for yourself whatever you want to do. Then talk to everybody possible. I know we discussed this, and this is very difficult to a lot of people,
Hmm.
but try to talk to everybody possible because that having a network wherever you go really helps. So any project that you take up, so you having a proper network usually ensures that you'll find the easiest or best possible way to do that network, because you'll have a lot of like the contacts will help with the guidance or getting stuff done.
Hmm.
So like I said, just go and say hi to people or introduce yourself, so stuff like that. But try to talk to as many people as possible. Try to establish a network wherever you go. And so you won't get anything unless you ask for it. So whether it's like you can, whether it's appraisal time where you're asking for a raise, or
Hmm.
whether it's a specific project or asking to be a part of a specific team, something along those lines, you won't get it if you don't ask for it. So there are like a lot. So I think it's called the tiara effect. So a lot of women like wait for people to come and acknowledge what they've done, and sort of gift them with a crown, a tiara. That's not going to happen. So unless you ask for it, you're not going to get it. And networking, LinkedIn, use LinkedIn. It's very, very powerful. And getting a job through LinkedIn is a lot more effective through networking is a lot more effective than getting a job through online application systems. Like if you just click apply, so your resume will be one of say thousands of resumes.
Yeah.
There's no certainty that the HR will even get to look at your resume before the ATS system like just discards it. So even I got my current job through networking. So I was applying like a lot. LinkedIn has that easy apply option. I was doing
Yeah.
that for a lot of jobs, but that wasn't really successful. So rather just reach out to people, and you can start with information interviews. Like so, I reached out to a person here, and I was like, "How is your company? What does it do?" Stuff like that. So you might want to frame your messages better, and like there are a lot of online resources that will help you frame those messages. But LinkedIn is very effective for networking, and especially in a job search, networking is a lot more effective than online application systems. One more thing, don't be afraid of like she said, talking about what you've done, especially like say if you're changing jobs or something. Don't be afraid to negotiate a salary. Like you are choosing the company, means apart from the company choosing you, you are also choosing the company. So that is also, so don't be afraid to do that. A lot of women think that the company will have a negative perception, but then a lot of people have, like it's been seen in a lot of cases that for the same role the women and the guy have separate like different salaries. The woman's is lower. So unless you negotiate, so again, if you don't ask, you're not going to get. uh, then if you don't feel, even if you don't feel confident, pretend that you are. Essentially fake it till you make it. So you can use, I mean, there are a lot of tips also online. So the internet is a fantastic resource. You'll find stuff for like anything. Google will help you with that.
Yeah, true.
And last tip, like learn as much as possible. Your role should be involve you learning. Like she said that Nivedita said that women don't apply for roles where they don't feel they meet all the 100% of the criteria required. If you meet 100% of the criteria required, what are you going to learn in that job? So you're just going to be able to do that job very well, but you need to have learning in every job. You need to have that challenge, right? So if you meet 100% of those qualifications, what are you going to learn? So there is definitely like, and I think this was this Forbes survey that found that men tend to apply for the job if they have only 60% of the skills required, while women tend to apply only if they have 100%.
I
So
think I can
clearly
vouch on
there's,
the men part because yeah, I did apply to like I had hardly like 3 or 4 matching out of 10, and I would apply anyway.
yeah. Well, thanks for confirming that.
Uh,
So yeah, those are my tips till now, and also you can, and also reading. So I had a bunch of books, so I'll
mhm.
send those to Shubham. I can send those to you.
Yeah, sure.
So the list,
All
like
right.
I try to read as much as possible. Yeah.
I think that was a really good bunch of list where we can really, I mean, concrete action plan which we can, learn and apply. And I hope whosoever is watching, I think they would be definitely learning. And I think we will post all the content, whatever is like the links and important information in the comment in the section description of the video, which you can look. And yeah, so I mean, that was the last question for today, and I would like to thank Trishna and Nivedita for spending their time with us, and hopefully you can connect with them if you really have some question related to their field. I would like to apologize because one of our speakers couldn't join. But yeah, I mean, these things happen, especially, this is COVID-19. If that can happen, this is just a small part of it. So, yeah, stay safe, and hopefully you guys learn something about this. If you have further question, feel free to reach out to us and reach out to our speakers. Just drop a hi, and I mean, start your networking skill. And definitely, if you are a woman now, if you are starting your career now, I think it would be really great to, talk to people who can help you further. So, thank you for watching, and we would try to. I mean, we hope you did learn something useful from here.